Cool. All right. Well, I'm really excited to be sitting here on a Zoom conversation with Matt from Mars Digital, Matt and Sophie from Sophie Howard Real Estate, Harcourt's Tandem Realty.
That's right, yes.
Perfect. And we just wanted to have a conversation, really. I wanted to have, following on from the conversations Sophie and I had last week, I wanted to bring in Matt, who specializes in websites and marketing. I think that's really valuable for a lot of people out there. But Sophie, did you want to quickly add to your introduction at all there?
Oh no, it's just great to be here with Sam and Matt. We're all in the same networking group, and I've worked now with both of you, and I can really recommend your services, and I'm excited to hear what you've both got to say today.
Cool. And Matt, was there anything else that I missed about Mars Digital there before you jump into a bit more detail on what you can offer?
That was a pretty decent summary, but so I'm the owner of Mars Digital. We started the company just over a year and a half ago-ish now. So the idea for us is to help businesses and individuals build a website that actually works for them and does what it's designed to do and helps them grow their own business. So I guess today, having a look at Sophie's website, she's been kind enough to let us use hers as an example and go through it and make some recommendations. So with Sophie's site, I haven't built that. We haven't been involved in the process of designing or developing it by any means. I have helped her with some social media marketing, but this is to go through the website and make recommendations and suggestions from a design / structural point of view and how people interact with the website so that she can help improve her conversion rate, essentially. So this will work for any website, not just real estate, but any website in general. Most of these principles will work for you.
Awesome. I'm excited to jump in, Matt, and have a look at this example and what you suggest.
Yeah, so I'll just share my screen now. All right, so in front of you there, you should start to see Sophie's website. I've got it open in incognito at the moment just because I am logged in. So we don't want the bar up the top with all the details at this point, at least. So this is the home page. It's essentially the landing page. So this is the most important thing for any website, because it's the first thing people see, and often it's your first impression as either an individual or a business for your potential customers. So the first thing we need to look at is this above the fold, which is exactly what you can see in front of you right now. So that is what loads, and what's the first thing people see on each page is the above the fold section. So right now we're essentially talking about the header here. And this is where you want to get across exactly what you do as quickly as possible and with as few words as possible. Because let's be honest, people don't really like to read a hell of a lot, but they like to know exactly what's going on and what you're doing. And to be completely honest, it's fairly straightforward what you do, Sophie. Obviously, you got your branding, your name here. So we know who you are.
Yeah.
The logo with the house clearly indicates that you're to do with the property market in some respect. And the fact that the Harcourt's logo is up the top left there, everyone really knows.
I love that photo as well, Sophie. Sorry to jump in there, but I think a stunning photo of the coast, and really shows where you specialize in. Really
yeah,
like
thank you. It's Hatfield's Beach, one of our favorites.
Yeah, so
beautiful.
People that recognize that photo will know exactly where it is as well. So like Sam and myself, but people outside of the area that don't know that that's Hatfield's Beach, they still know that you're coastal in some capacity, which again helps solidify what it is that you do. So you've also got contact information down here. Although it's not clickable because it's part of the image, it's still a good thing to have. People know how to get in touch with you. The only suggestion, like I just said, would be some form of clickable phone number. So people on mobile, if they're on your website, just tap it, and then that opens up the dial pad with your number put in straight away. Same with the email, although there is a little bit of situational sort of thing going on with that, where you don't want it to be too inviting for spammers to start sending you spam emails. So
the email one is interesting, Matt, as well, because I know that you can put the mail to markup in the URL for email, but that always frustrates me personally when that's this case, because it opens the default mail program on my computer, which I've never bothered to change, whereas I use Gmail in a browser only. So it's always interesting whenever I accidentally click on an email link, I have to close it and then copy the email address.
Yeah,
but I do like having an email address I can copy.
So again, it works best on mobile because of that purpose. But those people like myself who I've changed the default browser, I do use that link. There are ways to get around the spam side of it, but again, that one is more of a personal preference, which is why I just touched on it. But the phone number is something that I would definitely recommend. A clickable phone number is great for mobile.
Just written that down, definitely action that.
Cool. And then obviously the links to social media, because this is an image, they're not clickable either. But at least it shows that you have a presence there. If we scroll down, we've got social media. Specifically, this is an Instagram feed, which is great for a couple of reasons. One, it helps display a gallery of what's latest. So it automatically updates whenever you post something to Instagram, which is great. It gets out the most relevant and potentially the most useful information to people straight away. And one, it helps promote a social presence. So people are more likely to follow you on Instagram if they've come across you through your website because of that. And then you can help market to them through your social media channels. So again, having that there is brilliant. And then we've got the footer. So it's a very short homepage. And the biggest issue for me is that there's no call to action. So nowhere on this page is there anything that tells me what it is that you want me to do next. So whether that is contacting you, or whether that is sending an email, or whether you want me to go through to the My Listings page here. So what is it that you want me to do now that I'm on your website? You need to try and direct me to the next step in the process. So that would be something potentially just between the social medias, between the Instagram feed and the header, just maybe another image and a short blurb and a button that says something like contact me or get in touch, something as simple as that. And then that takes me to the next page.
The phone number and email is essentially, I guess, the call to action that I get from this website, but it's subtle and it's really nice with websites to be really obvious, isn't it? Like you say, having a button there and saying, make it really obvious, just call me for a consultation or something like that.
That's exactly right. I mean, the fact that there is a phone number and an email address there, that is saying you can get in touch with me. I want to hear from you. But it is not explicitly saying, hey, pick up the phone, give me a call, we can get your house on the market, or we can take you through some of our listings.
Yeah, no, that sounds good.
All right, so did you have any questions on this page or anything that I've said, Sophie?
No, that call to action, I can't believe I haven't thought to do that. But yeah, that's really good advice.
Cool. All right, so we might as well move on.
Sophie, how long have you had that logo? the Sophie Howard logo?
It's adapted. That one's probably about 2 years, and we kind of just slightly tweak it, but that's the consistent logo now.
Nice. That was something I was talking with Angela in our group.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, that was something that I was thinking as well. And it was interesting to see that you do have a logo kind of thing for your personal brand. So nice.
Yeah. We're interesting. We're kind of brands within the bigger brand, which is the Harcourts brand, but then we still have our own small business within there. So it is an interesting marketing concept.
Yeah, that's very true. When it comes to real estate, and this is kind of where I went over with you when we were talking about social media, is you're working for a brand, but you're also forced to create your own personal brand. Because although there's competition with, between Harcourts and let's say Bailey's or any other firm out there, there's also a little bit of competition between you and everybody else within your own business. Within
definitely.
Harcourts, within each area. So it is important that you do create your own branding and your own reason for someone to say, I'm going to give you a call.
Yeah, so definitely.
A logo like that is definitely good. Helps you stand out.
Thank you.
All right, is that your dog in the background of that photo, Sophie? Or that,
again?
Is that your dog on the beach there, or is that someone else's dog?
That's Levi. That's my pride and joy.
Oh, nice.
I should just quickly say this page looks a little bit plain, but we did have a profile video on there, but that was from about 2015 or 2016, so it was really dated. So we just got rid of that. The plan was to get a new profile video at the start of this year, but obviously things all went on hold, but that will have a video in there, hopefully in the next few months.
Okay, so a video would be great. Videos are brilliant for websites because, well, I've already mentioned it, people don't like reading. They want the information quickly, and videos are a lot more engaging. First of all, because people are more likely to hit play and just kind of listen to you tell them what's on the website as opposed to read it, they're more likely to absorb the information. But two, there's also that personal connection that it helps create. So you've already spoken to them before they even call you. They already feel like they know you a little bit, not obviously a huge amount, but they still feel like they know you a little bit, and it helps build that rapport between yourself and your potential clients. So videos are a great way to enhance any website, really. But with this page, again, it's very similar to the homepage. There's nothing much that's overly wrong with it. It's just missing a call to action and potentially some links within the text itself. So you got a couple of testimonials there and basically talking about what it is that you do. But again, once I've come to the about page, what is it that you want me to do now that I know a little bit more about you? It would be pick up the phone or fill out a form and get in touch. So either have a contact form on that page as well, or have a button that takes me to a contact form or opens the email or opens the phone number on my phone.
Okay, that's good.
Cool. Yeah, that one's pretty straightforward. The about page is very similar across most websites. It's just a bit of information about the person or the company, but it should always have a direction that you want to take any visitor in.
Hey Matt, would you recommend using bold on some of the text or different font sizes or anything like that, just to highlight different pieces? Because I know you said people don't really like to read, and I would probably just glance at that and maybe not even read any of it. That's very true. There's not a huge amount of text here, so it's probably not as important as something that has a lot more text, but it wouldn't hurt to separate things into a couple of different headers. So you could have a header there that was
I don't know, literally just Sophie Howard is a header, and then this first 2 paragraphs, and then you could, or the first 3 paragraphs, and then you could have another header that was something along the lines of pulling out part of the quote potentially and putting it in italics as well. Something like, couldn't be happier with the outcome. Like the last part of the quote from A and RJ.
Yeah.
And then putting a couple of, well, putting the rest or another couple of paragraphs, because these are pretty short paragraphs, underneath, and then maybe another one, immediately impressed, or enthusiasm and genuine interest, something like that that does stand out. That would be great, and it does sort of help capture at least those keywords that you want to get across and what we're trying to convey from this page. So in that case, we're looking at one, building the trust between the viewer and Sophie. So what is it that she does, and why would someone want to use your service as opposed to one of your competitors? And that's like, they couldn't be happier with the outcome type deal.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice.
That's a good suggestion too.
No, thanks for that, Sam. All right, so the next page is the My Listings. So if we click on that, it actually takes us to the Harcourt's website. And there's a couple of suggestions that I would make here. So because we're talking about real estate, and I know that a few of the companies, at least, they don't like to give out API information so that it's easy for you to put all your website listings on your own website. And whenever information changes and things are updated, they get updated obviously through Harcourt's and then TradeMe, realestate.co.nz. That's all automated, but they're not with your website. So if you have a lot of listings, manually updating them can become quite a tiresome process. So while that would be an ideal scenario, I completely understand why you've gone and linked to the Harcourt's website. It honestly does make a lot of sense.
Just thinking it should go straight to the listings, though. It goes straight to About Me, which is
that's
not great.
correct.
It should really go to the View My Listings tab.
So there's two suggestions that I have here. Firstly, if I do click on it without having it already open, it does take me to that page within the same tab. So this is actively taking somebody away from your website. And we don't really want to do that, although it's still taking them to you on the company website. We don't want to take them away from your own website, not yet at least. They haven't made contact yet, so we don't want to take them away and minimize that chance or reduce the chance. So the easiest thing there is still have it in the menu, but have it open in a new tab. Simple as that. And then that would open it up like I've got here, and it comes into a new tab. They haven't left your website, but they've still got this page open. And then the other thing, like you said, was it goes to the About Me page, whereas they've already clicked the listings. So we want to minimize how many clicks they have to make to get to the information that they want. So it should go to the View My Listings page, which has its own tab, own URL. So it's really easy to put that in.
Yeah.
And then if we scroll down, I'm not going to go through the whole Harcourt's website, obviously, for this, but then we've got your specific listings, which is great, so that they know what is on offer, and if they're a buyer, if they're interested in any of these, they know who to give a call to.
Yeah.
All right. So next page along was the recent sales.
Matt,
Sorry,
just to read on that, on the My Listings aspect, I guess for any real estate agent out there, there's essentially 2 options to put the listings, incorporate the listings on their own website. one option is to link off, like what Sophie's done here, to the main brand, to the Harcourts, for instance, like the My Listings page there, link to another site where all your listings are. Or the second option would be to try and rebuild all those listings on your own website, either through doing it manually or with an API. So I guess those are your kind of two options for having listings on your website. And it does seem like going to where they already are, whether on the Harcourts page is probably the easiest and best way of keeping the data clean in most instances.
Yeah, that's more because a lot of the bigger companies, they don't like to hand out their API information. They kind of keep it quite tight knit. So when you're going through a lot of listings, because realistically, we're talking about a one-man business, sometimes one and a half when you've got an admin person that works for you part-time, as well as working for everybody else in the office. It can become quite difficult, especially during a busy season or a busy period, if you've got 20 or 30 listings and updating that information and even getting another listing and pushing that to a website without the automated API information and integrating it, that can become quite tiresome. It's if you were sitting around 1 or 2 to 4 listings all the time and there wasn't much changing in terms of the information that you're putting out for them, then sure, it might actually be a worthwhile amount of time to put that into your own website. But coming from the perspective of the real estate agent's got a lot else to do, I'm not going to just tell them that they should then sit there all night updating each listing on their own website because they've already updated it on all the others. But ideally, if there was that API integration available, then this would be on Sophie's own website.
Cool.
Because if we can keep them within your site, the better. Definitely.
That makes sense. Yeah, nice.
All right. So yeah, the next page was this recent sales page, which you've got. This is effectively a gallery. So if I click on this, it's just going to open the image. But it goes through possibly not all, but a lot of the properties that you have sold, and I'm assuming it's probably the more recent ones at the top, although that probably doesn't overly matter, to be honest. It's just the fact that you're displaying that you are active and that you are local is a good thing. And I have chatted briefly to Sam about this, but what would go really well here is actually a little bit more information about each of these properties and the outcome that you got. So this is essentially combining your recent sales page with the next page, which you've called kind words, which is testimonials. So potentially each one of these could have a testimonial and a little bit about the outcome, and the odd one that you feel really confident on and is really engaging, you could write a small blurb or case study about what it is that you did and how you got the outcome that the owner was after, and how everybody is basically happy with the sale and purchase.
Okay, that's a really good idea.
That does two things really. One, it increases the amount of content on your website, which is great for SEO purposes and Google's perspective. And although in real estate, an individual agent is very unlikely to rank at the top of the first page, or even potentially on the first page for some real basic searches like real estate New Zealand or real estate Auckland, or even real estate Hibiscus Coast would be quite competitive. you can get on there for more long tail searches, which are more and more specific terms that people might use. So for that may be something like real estate agent or best real estate agent, Red Beach.
Right.
That is
Would it be
more
worth
specific.
doing? Okay, yeah. Would it be worth doing case studies as a separate tab?
So it really depends what you think feels best. But this page, realistically, at the moment, is a gallery that doesn't offer too much more other than a bunch of pictures of houses saying sold on it. That might sound quite brutal, but
No, it is what it is.
That is exactly what it is. But if we hovered over, for example, at the moment it's got the blue, and if I click on it, it opens the image. But if I hovered over and instead of the plus symbol, it had a little bit of a testimonial, that would be amazing. And then this one, if I hovered over and it had a little bit of a testimonial, a little bit of a blurb, and view case study, and then that took me to another page. There, and you've got a 500, 1,000 word case study on this property, then that's perfect.
Right.
So that's one, adding the content, and two, it makes the actual viewing of your website a bit more interactive as well.
Yeah.
I like that, Matt, because one thing, I guess there's two aspects of this page. One thing that I like about it is that there are so many previous sold houses, and that really gives people, I think, confidence that Sophie here knows what she's doing and she can get results. But it would be combine having all these sold houses showing, but with a few at the top having more detail and combining them with testimonials and maybe some information on what marketing was done and what the house sold for and so forth would be really cool. So I like that.
Yeah, definitely. Same.
Yep. I mean, the same thing if we talk about the hover over effect. Well, that does make it a bit more engaging. But let's say someone doesn't come along and they don't move the mouse over any of the images. That would be a prime opportunity to add a button to the right of the address and where it says recent sales, that says view testimonial, or maybe read case study, something along those lines. And again, that becomes a call to action. So it directs them through to more information so they learn more and know more about what it is that you do. And again, why they should go to you as opposed to any of your competitors.
Cool. Okay. I like that. Yeah, that's good.
Sweet. So if I scroll down just to make sure we haven't missed anything on this page, from memory, it's pretty much just a gallery, and then we've got the footer, but just to prove it. Yep. Sweet. So then the next page, and I haven't mentioned this actually, but there is a back to top button right here, which is great. So if I've scrolled all the way down to here and I can't be bothered flicking the mouse wheel to go all the way up, I can just click on the back to top and it does take me up right to the top, which is, again, brilliant. On mobile, that's very important. So if someone is viewing your website on the mobile and they've flicked all the way to halfway down the bottom, because bear in mind, it's 3 across here and there's quite a long scroll. On mobile, it should only be a single row. So it's going to be 3 times as long. They want to get back to the top. They don't want to have to flick for 20 minutes. So the back to the top is perfect. And then there is the email button, which brings up a contact form as well, which is on every page. So that is good as well. So the next page is the kind words, which is essentially testimonials. We just talked about sort of integrating that with the recent sales and having that to do with the listings. While having it like it is as a separate page isn't a bad thing. To be, from a usability point of view and a readability point of view, it is essentially a blob of text.
Yeah.
So chances are someone's going to come along and they might read one or two, and then that would be it. But if you break up the text with an image of the property that was sold for these people, then that helps one reinforce what's being said and what they've said is a really good deal, or just fantastic agent to deal with, blah blah blah. Like just that little bit more about it that makes it feel a bit more personal. Then one, it engages people a bit more, but two, it's going to be more ingrained in their memory because there's something visual with it as opposed to just having read it. So either you could add some more imagery. Doesn't have to be every single one has an image associated to it, just to help break up the amount of text. So they can either read it through the kind words page, or they could read those testimonials on the recent sales page. You don't have to combine the two. You could, but you could also keep them separate as long as they're set out in a way that makes it easy for people to digest the information.
I'm just thinking, you know, the classic in front of the signboard selfie smile with your clients.
Yep.
Got quite a few of those pictures, which could be quite neat to put those in, obviously with people's consent.
Yes. Yeah. Obviously, yeah. If they're going to be in the photo, then they definitely need to give the okay for that. But if they do, then that would be perfect, because again, it turns the first one here, Jay Robertson, turns that into a real person as well, as opposed to just a name that no one knows.
Definitely. Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Cool. The next page is.
Do you think people normally are implicitly giving their consent when you ask to take the photo? Like, would you normally ask? You'd normally ask them if you can get a photo of them anyway.
And when I do, I say, do you mind if we pop it onto Facebook? So if they're saying yes to that, it would be quite easy for me to say onto the social sites and the web, you know, and if they say, generally, I've never had anyone say no, so.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some visuals on that page, even if it's at the top, like the same concept as the recent sales ones, having both showing a large number of testimonials is really good, but perhaps a few with a bit more information at the top and more visuals.
Yeah, that has not been updated in the longest time either. That's a bit embarrassing.
Is this mostly people emailing you testimonials, or have you pulled some of these from Facebook or Google or anything?
A mix. I don't ask for Google reviews, but I do ask for Facebook reviews. Yeah.
Hey Matt, it's because Facebook is still doing a star rating, so normally you'd be able to show the star rating as well with the review, wouldn't you? And that
because this is a WordPress website, there's a couple of plugins that automatically pull information that you tell it to from Google reviews and Facebook reviews. So with those, you can filter them by a variety of different things and show certain ones at the top and most recent, or the highest rating at the top, or if you really want, you could show the lowest rating at the top, but no one's going to really do that one. But yes, it does automatically pull that information, and it'll show a logo that this is Google reviews and it's 4.9 out of 5 stars or whatever it may be, and the same with Facebook. So because this is a WordPress site, there are some pre-made tools for that, which are quite handy.
And I guess the advantage of that for Sophie would be she can continue to focus on providing great customer service and getting reviews on Facebook, and then this page will be dynamically updated in the future when they come in.
That's correct. So with that option, that is better, in my opinion. It would be better as a additional section to something like the About page, because it is dynamic content, like you said. she can focus on getting people to actually go to Facebook or go to Google and fill out a review. Or in this case, you know, you said that you use Facebook primarily, so getting people to go to Facebook and fill out those reviews. But if we just had it here on its own page and we're showing, let's say we show 10 reviews, we're still going to have the same issue that I've just been talking about, where it's kind of a wall of text.
Yeah.
You could have a section, you know, that takes up half the page, and then the other half is another gallery, which very similar to recent sales, but maybe it's a flip-through gallery as opposed to just a laid out 3x9 grid type deal. So that would be a possibility to add some imagery in there, but I guess the issue with that would be that the images don't necessarily tie with the reviews.
Right, yeah.
And that's what I was trying to get here.
Mm-hmm.
But there are ways of doing it. It's just a matter of what works and feels best for you, really.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Okay. Definitely food for thought anyhow.
Yeah.
Mm.
All right, so the Harcourts page, obviously this one is more about Harcourts as opposed to you personally.
Well, she's a bit light, isn't she?
Yes, very much so. And I kind of just said that with the testimonials plugin to pull information dynamically and putting that on the about page. This page here is something that I would probably say delete the page,
right?
Put the content on the about page.
Oh, okay, good idea.
People already know that you work for Harcourt straight away because of the big logo in the top left.
Mm-hmm.
They probably don't necessarily go to this page because they already know a little bit about Harcourts. They're here more because they want to know, are you the right agent?
Mm-hmm.
So putting this on the about page, it more just beefs up the content on the about page and helps spread it out, because you do have a little bit of imagery here, even with just the fact they are icons as opposed to images. And if you took all this and just added it to the bottom of the about page under here, end up replacing that with a video at some point, that'll help sort of complete the page and make it a bit more, a little bit more engaging, but also it gives across that information about you and about Harcourts.
Because when we were talking earlier, Matt, I remember you saying you're better off having more pages with quality and a decent amount of content rather than just more pages total.
Correct. Yeah. So yeah, from a Google perspective, most definitely, if a page like this Harcourts one exists, there's very little content there, and chances are it's going to be seen as not low quality content in the sense that it doesn't mean anything, but low quality in the sense that it's not really adding anything and there's no purpose to it being its own page. So it's not giving you that benefit. So realistically, you are better off combining it with other quality, unique content so that it does sort of help build that bigger page that Google likes more, and therefore you are more likely to rank.
Yeah, sorry. As a rule of thumb, were you saying before around about 300 words on a page is what Google's going to kind of start to potentially really like, as thinking of it, Scott?
Yeah, so as a general rule, 300 words minimum, whether we're talking about an about page or a product page or the home page, or what we were just talking about in terms of creating a case study page. And if there's more than 300 words, then as long as they're not waffle, if they're actually quality content, then they're going to add even more of an impact. Because purely from an SEO perspective, Google's looking to put the website in front of, well, a website in front of somebody that's searching for a term, if that website is deemed to be helpful. Because if it's not going to be helpful for the person searching, they're not going to use Google anymore. And Google makes their money by people using Google. So if you can make your information helpful and informative, I mean, making information informative seems silly, but it's kind of true. If you can be informative, and it can be not a complete guide, but it gives someone a really good idea of what is going on, whether it's the about page and talking about you, or whether it's the testimonials and a blurb around how you got the result, then that information is going to be seen as beneficial, and it is more likely to be ranked than, well, what we're looking at the moment, which is a couple of, realistically, it's 4 bullet points with a heading each.
They're definitely going on the about page.
Yeah, it adds value from a readability perspective, but I don't see anyone going to this page specifically looking for this information.
Yeah,
cool.
I agree.
And the last page is the contact page, which is just a contact form. There's not really too much to say here other than the more people that get to this page and fill it out, the better. So that's why we need those call to actions.
Do you think I should change that as well? Because just then, before you hit the contact tab, this sounds terrible, but I actually thought it was going to come up with my contact information.
So,
do you think it should say get in touch here, or should I, change that?
So contact is kind of just the standard name that everyone uses. So it makes sense to leave it as contact. In terms of adding anything, yes, definitely. You are a real estate agent, so you are on your phone most of the time. You got people calling you, you're calling people. So having your phone number there would be great. And again, having an image, having a photo to one side would be great as well.
It could almost be like Sophie's business card up the top, like with a photo, name, phone number, email address. Would you think all that's good to have above the form? Or
yeah, so it wouldn't be too hard to basically have this as half the page, and then the contact form, or even the header that you've got on the home page is taking up 2/3 of the width, and then the contact form taking up 1/3.
Okay.
And that way, essentially kill 2 birds with 1 stone. You've got an image of yourself, you've got your logo and the branding, you've got the phone number, which again, it would be ideal if we made that clickable. And then you also still have that contact form that people can fill out on the website if they don't want to call you, or if it's late, or whatever it may be. And they can send that off and you can deal with it in the morning.
Cool.
Sweet.
nice.
Did you have any, I kind of went through that relatively quickly, but I think that's a good thing. So did you have any questions at all?
No, that was really helpful. I always just thought, I mean, for me, I just thought I should have a website, but now I'm really understanding that it needs to serve a bigger purpose than just having a presence, because that's not going to help with my search rankings and whatnot. And actually, as you said, the main word I think is keeping people engaged on the page.
That's
and
correct.
again, I feel silly for saying this, but I just didn't really contemplate it. So now I think there's definitely some actionable things that we'll be making changes to. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
That's all right. So when it comes to real estate and why a real estate agent should or shouldn't have a website, I guess creating an expectation for what a website would do for you. Don't go in expecting that creating your own website, you're going to be #1 on Google for every search term, and every person in the country is going to start calling you. That's just not going to happen. You're essentially a one man or one woman business, and you're competing against the company that employs you to do your job. You're competing against all the companies that they compete against, and you're competing against TradeMe and realestate.co.nz for that marketing space on Google. So that's why I mentioned earlier about long tail searches. You know, you're not going to rank well for the generic terms like real estate New Zealand, real estate Auckland, or even some of the more local searches. But if you can write those articles and write sort of engaging information that does use some more long tail terms and you know, street names and that sort of thing, then you are more likely to show up for local searches and those long tail terms. And that's going to help with the marketing. The other side of things that can definitely help, a website can definitely help real estate agents for, is your own personal brand. And we touched on this with your logo, and the fact that you've got your own logo and that's your own brand, and you're creating your own, essentially your own personality around real estate, which is great. And that's what you can do with social media as well, and engage people. And you can essentially use your own website to sell you as a person and create the rapport between yourself and your clients before they even talk to you.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
if you can do that, they're more likely to purchase from you, and they're more likely to say, hey, can you sell my property? Yeah.
The end goal, definitely.
Yep.
Oh no, that has really been so helpful. And I'm just wondering, are you okay? I might shoot out of the call. I've just got a 12 o'clock Zoom. But Nat and Sam, feel free to carry on. But honestly, I really want to say a big thank you. That was incredibly helpful. That was awesome.
No worries. Thank you.
Hey Sophie, thanks for attending. Really appreciate it, and yeah, hopefully got some useful insights there. Appreciate your time.
Yeah. All right. Talk to you both soon. Thank you.
Thank you. See you.
Bye.
Hey Matt, that was awesome. Hey, thanks so much for running through that. I took some notes, and I think it sounds like Sophie got some really good insight from that. And a couple of things that I took down. Points you want to try and keep people on your website. So hopefully Sophie goes changes a couple of those links that were opening in the same tab rather than on a new tab. I think if you're linking off the site to open those in new tabs is always a good idea. The other thing was making sure you have calls to action on the website. So on every page, you're telling people what you want them to do on that page. And I think in some case, I would either be calling or sending people through to that contact page. So that was great.
Yeah, generally speaking, whenever anyone, whether it's myself or any person to do with web or marketing, talks about a call to action, they're generally saying you need to put something in there that directs the viewer to take some form of action, but it's the action you want them to take. So you need to think about, okay, I've got them on my about page. What is the next step? What do I want them to do now? Where do I want them to go? Yeah. And if that is to go through to a contact form, or if it's to pick up the phone, then we need to create some form of reason and entice them to do it.
Nice. Cool. The other thing that I think we talked about in a few different places was adding a bit more insight for people. That was both around the testimonials that Sophie has, as well as the past sales. And I like that idea of on almost both of those pages combining that information together a little bit, so people can see both this was the house that sold and this was a testimonial, and potentially expanding it out even to a bit of a case study for people. I think would be really interesting for people that are thinking about selling their house with Sophie. What else? Oh, one thing that you did talk about again on the SEO and the long tail searches and around creating a personal brand, and we spoke about this, was potentially having a blog section. Is that kind of really you would recommend using a blog to yeah, add more personal insight into Sophie and try and rank? Would the blog be the platform you'd use
So
for space?
yes and no. There's a lot of information that she can create around those case studies that would essentially replace a blog. But there's no reason why Sophie couldn't start writing blogs that aren't related specifically to one individual property, and they're more about the market or changes and expectations that may be going forward. She might write an article that's to do with the OCR, and there's been, if there's been a drop in the OCR and what that might mean for buyers or sellers. That sort of information would be considered quite useful. And if she can take complicated sort of financial information and not dumb it down, but explain it in a way that Joe Blogs can wrap their head around without a degree in finance, then she's going to get people reading her blog, reading that information, reading those articles, and that's going to, one, help her SEO, but two, it's going to help convert potential buyers and sellers to give her a call. Because, well, one, they know she knows the information, and two, they're already engaged with her on a level where she hasn't said anything specifically to them, but she's hooked them because she's given them the right information, and they know that she's going to be useful and helpful.
Yeah, totally. That's awesome. The other thing that really stood out for me was that header. I didn't actually know that the phone number was part of the image, but hopefully Sophie goes ahead and tries to get a clickable phone number at the top of the page or more prominent, so people can call her really easily on mobile devices.
Yep.
Awesome. Was there anything else you think we should add in there, or I'm sure there's a lot of useful information there. Hopefully Sophie will implement it, and I'm sure other real estate agents are likely to want to jump on board and update the websites, or if they haven't already got a website, really think about getting one.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully the information that I've sort of laid out here is useful enough and simplistic enough that people can apply what I've been saying and having a look at their own website and go, oh yeah, that's what I need here, or that's what I need to do as well. Because although we're using Sophie's website as an example, it is very much the same across most websites. You need those call to actions. If you've got a link that takes someone away from your website, it should open in another tab. So if everyone that watches this goes through their own website and views it, or if they're a real estate agent doesn't have a website, then they know what they should be looking for and should be getting. And well, as a shameless plug, obviously they're welcome to talk to me about that, and I can explain further if they want to.
That's a nice segue, actually, because I think hopefully we've covered some fundamentals here that people can apply for themselves. But how about we close this off with, if you can let people know how they can get in contact with you. What's the best way of people getting in touch?
Yeah, definitely. So if anyone wants to talk to me more about this sort of thing, specifically around their own website, they can definitely get in touch with me. Probably the easiest way would be one, to go to my website, which is marsdigital.co.nz, and fill out the contact form there. Otherwise, they can give me a call, which I'm sure you can post the phone number in the article or the post for this. But yeah, if they want to fill out the contact form, that comes straight to the Mars Digital email that, well, one of the ones that I have access to. So I will be able to get in touch, and we can tee up a time to talk via Zoom, or if it's a bit later on and all the lockdown is over and everyone's back to normal, then I'm happy to meet people in person once that happens.
Awesome. And another time, it would be great to have another conversation around the marketing and social media ways that you can help people, because this has really been predominantly focused on websites and SEO, but I do understand that you do the marketing and social media. So let's have that conversation another time.
Yeah, that would be brilliant.
Awesome. Hey, thanks, Matt.
No
Appreciate
problem.
your
Thank
time.
you.
Have a wonderful day.
You too.